If you've got a situation where most Jews are rejecting the message of Jesus, and most of the people who are accepting the message of Jesus are Gentiles who don't keep the Jewish law, why do Christians keep the Old Testament? Why do Christians keep the law if they're not going to follow the law? And why even have an Old Testament? There are lots of reasons why historically Christianity kept the Old Testament. Let me give you one of the reasons that most people have not thought of. During Paul's day, after Paul's day, Christians found opposition from their pagan neighbors and from the Roman rulers on some occasions. Christians were attacked for a reason that might not make much sense today, but made a lot of sense in the ancient world. When it came to ancient religion and philosophy, ancient people really liked antiquity. In the ancient world, people liked ancient stuff. If you were a new religion, there was something wrong. You had to have an old religion. Religions had to be old to be acceptable. Philosophies had to be around for a while to be acceptable. You've got to have antiquity. Christians had to have the Old Testament because it gave them antiquity. They could claim that their religion was as old as Moses. Moses predicted Jesus. Jesus is the fulfillment of the law. The law was looking forward to Jesus. And so Christians had to have the Old Testament, and they claimed the Old Testament, and they claimed the Old Testament was theirs and not the Jews. Because if the Jews could rightly claim it, then the Christians could not rightly claim it. Christians wanted to rightly claim it because they needed antiquity in order to have any credentials at all in the ancient world. Even though they had the law of Moses, most Christians chose not to follow the law of Moses. Most Christians were Gentile. They didn't circumcise their baby boys. They didn't follow kosher food laws. They didn't observe the Sabbath. They didn't keep the Jewish festivals. They didn't do the other parts of the law. They didn't keep the law, but they did want to keep the words of Jesus because they understood that the words of Jesus were a kind of new law. Jesus is the one who tells us how we should live. We keep the Old Testament because it provides us with our ancient roots, but actually we follow the laws given by Jesus.